Alright, what's up everybody? We're back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today, we're going to be talking about last night's Game 2, Luka Doncic and the Mavericks. An amazing comeback win to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves and take a 2-0 series lead going back to Dallas. We're going to talk all about that game here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications, all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. Really upset a lot. Join the membership. If you want to learn more about the membership, there's a video on my channel explaining all of it. You can go back and watch that. Look to my Twitter, TikTok, stuff like that. Description down below. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So last night we had Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals between the Mavericks and Timberwolves. The Mavericks came out and stole Game 1 in Minnesota, putting a lot of pressure on the Timberwolves to come out and win Game 2 and tie the series. And early on in this game, it definitely looked like the Timberwolves knew that. Early on in the game, Timberwolves were putting pressure on the Mavs. They're being a lot more aggressive. Anthony Edwards took 6 free throw attempts in the first quarter. I think he took only 2 in the entirety of Game 1. So Edwards came out. He had 10 points in the first quarter, 2 for 7, 1 for 4 from 3, but 5 or 6 free throws. So Timberwolves took 11 free throws in the first quarter. To Mavericks only took 3 free throws and missed 2 because Daniel Gafford missed 2 free throws in the first quarter. So Minnesota came out early with some aggression, getting to the free throw line. And yeah, doing stuff like that. They won the rebounding battle in the first quarter, the assist battle. They forced 6 turnovers. Oh no, I'm sorry, looking at the wrong thing. They only forced 2 turnovers. But yeah, Anthony Towns picked up 2 fouls early. He only played 4 minutes. He did have 5 points on 1 for 5 shooting. Gobert has 6 points. Naz Reid hit 2 threes at the end of the first quarter. It was like, all right, here's Minnesota. They're playing with energy. They're blitzing Luka Doncic a lot. They're trying to force everybody else to kind of make plays, and it wasn't really working in the first quarter. Besides Luka had 9 points, who came out hot. Gafford had 6. After that, wasn't really much going on. So Timberwolves win the first quarter. We go to the second quarter, and Minnesota kind of breaks the game open early on. They jump up to, I think, a 17, 18-point lead at one point. Mike Conley hits a couple threes in the quarter. Naz Reid hits 2 more threes in the second quarter. Kyle Anderson has a couple points. Anthony Edwards hits a 3-pointer. And now it's like, oh, shoot, here we go. Minnesota hit 5 threes in the second quarter. Dallas only hit 1 3 there. 1 for 8, 33%. 12% from 3, 33% from the field. Minnesota was 11 for 25, 44%, 5 for 10 from 3. Yeah, they came out and had a really, really good second. Meanwhile, for Dallas, Luka only had 2 for 9. Kyrie was 0 for 3. PJ Washington had a couple points. Lively had a couple points. But after that, the Mavs didn't really get much offensively. 8 points combined for Luka and Kyrie in the second quarter. Those two combined for 21 points in the first half on 7 for 22 shooting and 3 for 8 from 3. And Luka has 16 of those 21 points in the first half. Yet, there was a little run the last, I want to say, about 4-ish minutes of the second quarter where Dallas cut the lead down to 12 going at halftime. And honestly, early on in this game, in the first half especially, it really looked like Dallas didn't have the energy that Minnesota had. And one thing I said previewing the series was, whoever wins the dogfight is going to win the series. And early on, Minnesota was winning the dogfight. Same thing that happened in the first game, where it felt like Minnesota, it was a lot closer of a game, but it felt like Minnesota was winning the dogfight early on in the first half. They were starting the game off with the energy. And Dallas, even though in the first game, Dallas was keeping up. It's just Minnesota had the side edge. In this game, Dallas didn't have energy at all. This game, and I honestly did, and I feel like I forgot who someone said it on the broadcast, or maybe it was Charles Barkley. Like someone said it. It looks like Dallas came out in game 2 and looked like they were playing like they were happy that they won game 1. They look like they came out and they're like, yeah, we got the first game. This game, we could, but like they didn't really have the same fight in them and energy that they usually have. It kind of looked like they were happy with, they got 1 win, they did their job, and now whatever happens game 2, whatever, but no matter what happens, we're going to game 3 with at least 1 win on the road. So we'll take that. And they didn't have it. And Minnesota, again, credit them. They were being aggressive. They were getting energy. Even though Karl Towns and Anthony Edwards combined for 6 for 22 shooting, it was 2 for 8 from 3, they still combined 8 for 9 from the free throw line with 22 points. And then you get 12. Naz Reid hit 4 threes in the first half. Gobert had 9 points. Mike Conley had 12 points. So, I'm sorry, they combined for 22. Conley and Reid combined for 24 in the first half. And that's big for the Minnesota Timberwolves. But they did go on that little stretch at the end of the second quarter where Dallas started to hit some shots. Luka started to hit some shots. He started to get to the free throw line a little bit. And now it was like, oh, okay. Minnesota was letting up off the gas. They weren't hitting their shots, and it was only a 12-point game at halftime. And that little run sparked in the third quarter where Minnesota hit a couple shots to start the quarter, but then Dallas really got into the game. Luka had 11 points in the quarter, getting to the rim, making amazing passes. Everybody for the Mavericks scored in the third quarter. Even for Minnesota, well, everybody, even for Minnesota, scored in the third quarter. But Luka had 11 points. Gafford had a couple shots in the fourth quarter. Dean Hardy had 5 points near the end of the third quarter. Josh Green hit a three-pointer, which I think was huge. Kyrie scored. PJ Washington hit a shot. Derrick Jones Jr. had a couple free throws. Like everybody contributed for Dallas. Look at it in the third quarter. Dallas shot 60% from the field. Minnesota shot 33%. Dallas was 3 for 8 from 3. Minnesota was 2 for 8 from 3. Minnesota did take 13 free throws in the third quarter, which is a big difference in this game. And then Dallas won the rebounding battle, only by one, but they won the rebounding battle. And it looked like Minnesota just was reeling a little bit. Didn't shoot well again. Didn't shoot well from the field in the third. They shot 7 for 21 combined. Anthony Edwards had 2 points, 1 for 4. Gobert 1 for 4. McDaniels 1 for 2. Conley hit 2 free throws. Anthony Towns had 6 points. He had a 3 and a couple free throws. Naz Reid hit another 3. Nikhil was 2 for 4. Kyle Anderson had 2 free throws. The starting five combined to shoot, was it 4 for 18 in the third quarter, while Luka shot 4 for 6 himself with 11 points. And I think he really set the tone, or he really set the tone for the Mavericks in the third quarter, where he came out in the third, had a little run on his own, where he hit a shot, made a pass, got to the free, like he was just doing. He had a little run near the end of the third quarter that really gave the Mavericks some life. I feel like Dallas wins the third quarter, 31-26, and they go into the fourth only down what I want to say 6 points. I want to say, yeah, 7 points. They go to the fourth quarter only down 7 points, and Minnesota. It just felt like in the entire third quarter, watching it, it was like, dang, it feels like Minnesota should be dominating this game. Yet it's only a 12-point game, 11-point game. One good Mavericks run, and the Mavericks are in it. Minnesota just playing around, not really hitting shots. Not being as intense and aggressive as they were early. And Dallas started to pick up some energy. They found some energy somewhere, and they started to start playing. Then we get to the fourth quarter. Kyrie hits a couple shots to start the fourth quarter, and it's like, oh, Mavericks take the lead, and it's like, oh god, here we go. And for the rest of the fourth quarter, the Mavericks take control. Kyrie hit 4 threes, 13 points in the quarter. Daniel Gafford was 3 for 3. Derek Lively was huge, 2 for 2 in this quarter. Luka did his thing. He made some great passes. He had 5 assists in the fourth quarter. And for Minnesota, Anthony Edwards got to the free throw line a little bit, 4 for 4 from the free throw line. Only had 6 points. Anthony Towns only played 3 minutes because Naz Reid was amazing. He hit 2 more threes in the fourth quarter. Jay McDaniels played 7 minutes and didn't do much really in the quarter, on offensive end at least. The Timberwolves shot 2 for 6 on 3 in the fourth quarter, 7 for 15 from the field. Had 4 turnovers. Dallas shot 11 for 18, 61%, 5 for 9 from 3. Only had 3 turnovers. And won the rebounding battle, 9-5, including 2 offensive rebounds, one by Luka, one by PJ Washington. Dallas found that toughness and that fight that they've had in the entirety of the playoffs so far. They found it in the fourth quarter, where Kyrie hit a couple of those shots, and they used it for the rest of the game. The last couple minutes, very interesting, clutch basketball. So we'll go to the last couple of minutes because I want to remember exactly what happened. So Kyrie misses 2 free throws, which is very rare. Kyrie misses 2 free throws, still a 3-point game. They come down the other end. Anthony Edwards tries to get to the line. He does. He makes 2 free throws. It's a 5-point game. Kyrie comes down, hits a corner 3-pointer to make it a 2-point game. After that, Jaden McDaniels turns the ball over. Which they had to challenge it. It was a successful challenge. They come down the other end. Luka misses a little mid-range fadeaway, and I was like, here we go. Come down the other end. Anthony Edwards has the ball with about 15 seconds left with a chance to make a shot and seal the game. And he's one-on-one with Derek Lively. And because at first he did like a little move and had a pretty decently open mid-range jumper, and I thought that was the shot because that's the shot he loves. But instead, he waited a little bit, tried to get to the paint, tried to do a little pivot. Doesn't work. Great job by amazing defense by Derek Lively. Derek Lively stays right up there, does a foul, puts his hands up, makes Anthony Edwards make a play. And Anthony Edwards at the last second tries to pass it out to Naz Reid in the corner, who Naz Reid shifted over from the kind of mid of the wing corner to the wing. Anthony Edwards throws the ball out of bounds, and Dallas gets another opportunity. And that was a huge play. obviously, because it gives Dallas another opportunity with about 12 seconds left. Anthony Edwards just not great decision making. The last couple games, even though this game was a lot better because this game he did take 4 free throws in the fourth quarter when they needed it. Those 2 free throws got fouled by Derrick Jones to make it a 5 point lead. He had 2 free throws before where he just put his head down, got to the line, and got 2 more free throws. So at least he had that, but the turnover. The turnover was big, and we come down the other end, and Luka Doncic does his thing. 1-on-1 with Rudy Gobert, step back, 3 ball, bang-o, makes it a 1 point lead. And the other end, Minnesota got a really good last shot. Anthony Edwards found Naz Reid, who's been hot the entire game. He hit 7 threes, and Naz Reid gets an open three, well, open-ish three, good enough for a last shot, and he misses it. And Dallas somehow comes back and steals another one in Minnesota and goes up 2-0. Just an amazing game, amazing back and forth game. You never knew what was going to happen. Luka Doncic put on a MVP type performance. 32, 10, and 13 on 10 for 23 shooting. He was phenomenal in this game. 16 in the first half, 16, 6, and 5 in the first half, 16, 4, and 8 in the second half. Only hit one shot in the fourth quarter, and that was the three-pointer. Just doing everything. Kyrie Irving, even though struggled the first 3 quarters, for 13 in the fourth, finished with 20 points and 6 assists. Daniel Gafford was huge in this game, 16, 5, and 5 blocks on 8 for 10 shooting. Get that crazy scoop layup, but he was just amazing in this game. Derek Lively as well, 14 and 9, 6 for 6, 2 for 2 from the free throw line. The centers for the Dallas Mavericks have been such a big key to this team and unlocking this team, and those two have done a fabulous job. I mean, they combined for 30 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 blocks on 14 for 16 shooting. Like, what more can you ask from Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively, especially against Rudy Gobert in that paint? They were doing such amazing things. Those two are so pivotal in this series. PJ Washington, even though he really, really struggled in this game, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 4 for 11, 0 for 4 from 3. He struggled in this game. Defensively, he was there, but offensively, he struggled. Losing the ball, he airballed the floater. Like, it was tough. He didn't make a 3-pointer. It was very tough, but he stuck it out to the end. Jane Hardy, I think gave some good minutes off the bench. 8 points. He hit a couple 3-pointers. In this game, he had that one little 5-point stretch near the end of the third quarter that really helped Dallas, I think. So yeah, and then looking at the stats, both Dallas shot 48% from the field, Minnesota 41%. Dallas 12 for 31 from three. Well, both teams actually shot 12 for 31 from three. The free throws, Minnesota took 32 free throws, 26 for 32. Dallas was 15 for 22. They missed 7 free throws, so they got away with 68% shooting at the free throw line and still won the game. And then look at the rebounding battle. Dallas wins the rebounding battle 44-40. Even though Minnesota had one more offensive rebound, Dallas wins the rebounding battle. Dallas actually lost the turnover battle. They lost the assist battle in this game as well. But it's just crazy that these battles were that close and Minnesota was dominating the first half. Minnesota dominated the first half, should have had a 20-point lead at one point, but they never did. And they allowed Dallas to come out, find some confidence. And once they have confidence, once they have that fight, it's really hard to beat this team, especially with Luka and Kyrie at the front lines. And Luka and Kyrie showed why they are Luka and Kyrie in that fourth quarter. With Kyrie hitting a couple shots to keep him in the game, and then Luka ultimately hitting the dagger in the neck. So yeah, Minnesota, Anthony Edwards, a lot better of a game. 21, 5, and 7, even though another bad shooting night, 5 for 17. He did get to the free throw line 10 times. He had 9 free throws there. He had the turnover late in the game. Again, not a good shooting performance. He's had a couple bad shooting performances in a row going back to the Denver series. I don't think we have to overreact to this. I mean, you still have to remember, even though Anthony Edwards has been amazing, you can make an argument he's been the best player in the playoffs so far this year. He has been just absolutely amazing. Getting Minnesota to this point, everyone loves him. I think, we still have to put in perspective. He's still 22 years old in his first real playoff run as the guy. And now once you get to this point in the playoffs where teams already have the scouting report on you, you've already been through so many games, been through so many experiences, probably are a little tired, probably have a little knick-knack injuries here and there and stuff. Eventually, you can't be perfect all the time. And Anthony Edwards has not been perfect the last couple games. And we just got to deal. We can't overreact to it. Don't overreact to it at this point, I'm sure Anthony Edwards is going to find a way at some point. Maybe it's game 3 where he comes out and he has a big performance. I hope at least, because it'll be really fun. But we'll see. Nas Reed though, Nas Reed, I think saved Minnesota from having a horrible because Dallas honestly was pushing them to a point where it looked like Minnesota was gonna crumble, and Nas Reed like kept him in this game. 23 points, 7 for 9 from 3 off the bench. Absolutely amazing performance from him. Mike Conley had 18 points, 16 and 10 for Rudy Gobert, even though he did have 5 fouls. Did shoot 6 for 10, had some points where it was like, dang, Rudy, you got to make that, you know. Karl Anthony Towns, not a great shooting night, 4 for 16, 15 points in this game. I think game one, he didn't have a great shooting performance either. I want to say, hold on, let me look at it real quick. Game one, he was 6 for 20 and 2 for 9 from 3. Game two, 4 for 16, 1 for 5 from 3. He did get to the free throw line a little bit more, but yeah, and he didn't close out the game because Nas Reed is playing such amazing basketball. So Cat's got to be better. Jaden McDaniels, after having 24 in the first game, only hit one shot in this game, 2 points, 0 for 3. Which why I was saying Minnesota, that's such a tough loss for Minnesota game one because Jaden McDaniels has that type of game. You never know if he's going to get that type of game again. And you saw he had 24, now he has 2. Kyle Anderson has been really good in this series for Minnesota. 7 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. He has been really, really good. He even got put in the closing lineup a little bit because his defense on Luka was been really good. But this is a tough one for Minnesota. Tough one for Minnesota. Up 18 in the first half, at home, down 1-0, having all the aggression, the energy, especially with you look at Dallas, and Dallas looked like they phoned it in the first half. Really didn't look like they really wanted to play, and you had a chance to really stab them in the heart and just put this team away and tie the series at 1, going back to Dallas and have a little momentum going to game 3. And you slip up. You take your foot off the gas a little bit. You allow Dallas to stay in the game a lot more than you should. And eventually Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving come out and just do Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving things. That's a very tough loss. This is a very tough loss for Minnesota. Very, very tough loss. And now you're in a similar position that you put Denver in last series, where Minnesota won 2 games in Denver, put pressure on Denver to come into Minnesota and win 2 games. And now they did the same thing to you, where they put the pressure on you, won 2 games on your home court, and now you got to go to Dallas and win 2, which can be done. Denver did it. Denver won 3 in a row and they're up 3-2. It can be done, but it's going to be a challenge, especially against this Dallas Mavericks team that has Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, and is elite. You know, they just showed in this game how good they are. They showed their fight, their want, their confidence in themselves, and they showed just how great of a team this is. With Luka, not even just Luka and Kyrie, but again, the big men, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, were such vital parts in this comeback win. Those two were amazing. Josh Green even had a couple hustle plays. Jane Hardy came off the bench and had a little stretch where he was good. PJ Washington's defense, like they just showed how great they are in this game. And Dallas has just been amazing. They're now 2 wins away from going to the NBA Finals, man. It's really good. But for Minnesota, I don't really know what more. You know, they need Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns. Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns need to show why they're all stars. That's plain and simple. Those two have to be better. You know, first 2 games have not been good for them. Looking at the first 2 games, Edwards is averaging 20 points on 33% shooting. Towns is averaging 15 points on 27% shooting. Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns combined are shooting 11 for 69. Or sorry, 21 for 69 from the field. Which, let me pull out my calculator real quick. 21 for 69. They're shooting 30% combined. 30% combined. Nikhil Alexander Walker is shooting that on his own. So, Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards have to be better. Plain and simple. I think, for one thing, they have to be better. I think they got to find a new defensive scheme. I think they're blitzing. The blitzing was doing really well in the first half, but in the second half, Luka started to do it. And honestly, Minnesota was giving up the blitz. I feel like a lot more in the second half. Like they're allowing Rudy to get on the island and be 1-on-1 with Luka and Kyrie a lot more than they did the first half, which was very, really interesting. I don't know why that was. At least to me. I don't know if it actually was like that, but at least to me, it felt like I saw a lot more Luka and Kyrie going 1-on-1 with Rudy in the second half instead of the first half, where they were blitzing and forcing Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford to make decisions for everything. So I think defense, they have to blitz all the time, I'm guessing. and force, especially with PJ Washington shooting 16% from three. Derrick Jones hasn't hit a three yet in this series. So I guess maybe getting those two to shoot the ball more, I'm assuming, is going to be on the game plan for Minnesota in the second game. Sorry, in the third game. I think that. But I don't really know what more to do, man. I mean, Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving have been spectacular in the first two games of the series. Even though Kyrie had a bad first three quarters, he came out in the fourth quarter, hit four threes. Luka Doncic was Luka Doncic in this game. So I don't really know what you do against them, but I think we really have to hope. I think you have to play the OKC style basketball in a sense, where it's like OKC, their defensive game plan was as long as Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic are not taking the shot at the end of when the shot goes up, as long as it's not Luka and Kyrie shooting it, we're fine. And in the first round, in that round, PJ Washington, Derrick Jones hit the shots, and they killed them. You got to tip your cap off to them. Minnesota, I feel like they should play with that a lot more because those two have not been great offensively shooting the ball, at least so far in this series. So I think you have to play with that and do that. But man, this is a tough loss for Minnesota. This is just a really tough loss for Minnesota, and we'll see how they respond in Game 3 in Dallas. But yeah, it's gonna be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you like the content around here, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications, do stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. Really upset a lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.